Greetings. My name is Eric Coopers, and I'm recording a brief introduction to our Wandering Ensemble's documentary project about the Wandering in the Wilderness performance ceremony. So I'm a dance artist, an inclusive performance artist, a music artist, more and more a ritualist, an explorer, an experimenter. My people are from the Ukraine and Russia, Ashkenazi Jews from Eastern Europe and that area of the world, and I'm also of the walks between people who are questioners, visionaries, queer folks, weirdos, outsiders, misfits, artists, subversives, healers, etc. And I teach at Cal State East Bay in Hayward, California, which is also the ancestral land of the Irgun Chochenyo Ohlone people. And I'm interested in performance as a vehicle for healing, for spiritual practice, for community building, for enlivening people, for being a laboratory for the practice of diversity and inclusion, and for being a ground for radical experimentation. Most of my early training was in modern dance, which is a complicated art form that is defined differently depending on who you talk to, but the piece of it that's most important to me is a lineage of exploration, questioning, subversion, and experimentation with new ways of understanding and engaging with life through the body. Over the years, I've been increasingly disillusioned with modern dance because of the discriminatory practices around bodies that the form has picked up from mainstream culture. Things like bodies are supposed to be thin and white and young and muscular and without disabilities, etc. That, for me, goes against the core tenets of modern dance that I connected with about embracing all of humanity, all sides of humanity, all sides of life beyond the human. So I've been dedicated these last few decades to what I now call inclusive performance. And this documentary is an attempt to share some of the inner workings of inclusive performance. Often, the things that are most important to me about creation, art, performance, dance are embedded in the process and don't always come through in public performances unless you have been part of the process in some way. And so I'm attempting with my Wandering Ensemble, which is a combination of the Cal State East Bay Inclusive Interdisciplinary Ensemble and the company I co-direct, Dandelion Dancetheater, to give a window into the process. It's imperfect. It's through a medium that kind of distances us from the actual experience, but I'm hoping at least it's pointing in the direction of what it's like to be part of this. There are many things in this documentary that are going to probably seem strange. You're not going to quite understand. Part of our questioning right now as an ensemble is looking at performance in new ways, and part of how we're doing that is by stretching out the process. So this process is going to take 40 years, inspired by the 40 years in the desert that the Jews spent after they escaped slavery, wandering and exploring. I don't quite know what that means because I've never done a 40-year project before, so it's an experiment. We're doing this in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, so we're constantly adapting how we rehearse, how we come together to stay safe, but also to keep exploring. So for instance, we're wearing masks most of the time. We started wearing hoop skirts as a way of maintaining physical distance because a hoop skirt is about 3 feet in diameter. If two people wear a hoop skirt, then they're 6 feet apart. So that became a key motif in our exploration, and then the hoop skirts started taking on a life of their own. We're working outside, which is new for many of us. We're used to being in a dance studio, so it's a constant balance of maintaining the essence of the traditions that we love and finding new ways to keep up with this rapidly changing world that we're in. I like to think of performance as keeping a garden. In the process of working with a garden, there's many different phases, and it's something that you don't just do a little bit of and then leave. It's an ongoing series of cycles. And everybody does it a little bit different, and the land that we do it on dictates much of how the garden evolves. There's working with the soil, there's digging, there's planting seeds, there's watering, there's waiting, there's helping the plants once they start to sprout through and guiding them, there's more waiting, there's all sorts of different processes that go on. Different kinds of plants need different kinds of things and offer different kinds of things. Eventually, perhaps the garden grows a cucumber. And when it's ripe, we pick that cucumber. And to me, the experience of a public performance is handing somebody that cucumber. So the process is embedded in the cucumber, but if you just chop it up and put it in a salad, you're not understanding the full process that took to get that cucumber and all the other factors that wouldn't be quite obvious. You're getting one product, for lack of a better word, from the garden, but the garden is a much bigger, much richer, much more complex process. That's how I see art. It's the garden, this whole big process. And then every once in a while, the process comes together for a public performance which shows one teeny little bit. In this documentary, I'm trying to give a sense of the garden of inclusive performance, the garden of our wandering ensemble. Many things here can't be communicated through the medium of video. My hope is that there's some kind of intuitive transmission, that even if you don't understand everything, even if some things feel off-putting, there's a sense of the flavor of our process. This video all took place over one day. It was at the height of the COVID pandemic, so we met outside. We gathered together collaborators who've been working with the ensemble in different ways through the years, so it was sort of a special gathering of the tribe to try and do what we often do, which is map out a performance piece. So even though we haven't finished all the choreography or costumes or text, we do a approximation of the vision. We improvise our way through it and see what arises, and then that teaches us something about this larger process, this larger garden. Since this was filmed, we've had a public performance, a series of public performances in a maybe more traditional manner where there's an audience sitting there and we perform something with lights and costumes and all that. That was the giving of the cucumber to people who wanted to come have a taste. But the process has gone on and continues to develop and deepen and go through all sorts of challenges. We're going to keep making documentary windows into this process. And my encouragement to you as you watch this is to not get too focused on understanding everything. I don't even understand everything. My feeling about the creative process is we enter in not understanding and let through the process, understanding, knowledge, healing comes. But it's always a process of not knowing and wandering in anyway. So I invite you to do that with this documentary. I'm totally into people following up with questions, comments, ideas. If you didn't understand something, if something triggered a story for you, I'd love to hear it. So please feel free to contact me. You can find me through Cal State East Bay Department of Theater and Dance or through Dandelion Dancetheater. And welcome to this tour of our garden at one particular moment. The garden has changed a lot and goes through cycles and will continue to, so please check back. Enjoy.
That's much better.